And I'm done. It is so warm right now. It's April 28th. And I'm here to visit my father. I haven't been here for a while. I think the last time I was here was on Christmas or New Year's. But as you saw earlier, it has been quite a lot of snow this year, so we couldn't really walk to his resting place. But since it's the 10-year mark today since his passing, I wanted to shovel up a path to his grave in case some of my other family members wanted to visit him. Oh, I can't believe it's been 10 years. It's unreal. I remember that day like it was yesterday though. It was so surreal. I've lost family members, or I've lost my great grandmother, but I was a kid back then. I also lost my second grandfather, but I think I was 10 at the time. Losing my father was the worst thing that has ever happened in my life. It's been 10 years today, and yeah, this is what happened. I was in a city called Östersund. I was there to sign some papers because I bought my first apartment in the city of Östersund, which is 2.5 hours by car north of here. I remember this so clearly because before this time I only had a few jobs, nothing too serious. I was depressed, I had social anxiety, I drank. My life was pretty weird. But this was my first real job and my first apartment that I bought. And in a way, this was my comeback, because I wanted to show my parents that I wasn't a failure. They never thought I was a failure, and I hope, but I thought I was a failure. I thought that I have failed at life and I would never become anything. So I was super proud to have gotten my first real job at a newspaper, and that I actually bought an apartment. That was so cool. And I remember that it was April 28th, 2008. I had just arrived to the city of Östersund. I had visited a store to purchase internet so we could get it in our apartment. You had to go to a store to purchase internet. And I talked to the guy in the register, and he knew people from Järvsö, my hometown, and I thought that was so cool because it was so far away. And I remember going from that store, I called my father. I still remember his phone number, by the way, because I wanted to tell him I was so up, I was so happy, I was so full of life. I wanted this so much. I bought my first apartment. I was going places, and I was calling my father to tell him about this guy in the store. I know it's such a small thing to be talking about, but I thought it was something I wanted to share with my father. He did not pick up the phone. It was around 9:30 in the morning, and yeah, I was also going to sign the papers to buy the apartment that day, I had a meeting with the realtor at 10. It was 9:30 now. And after he didn't answer, I kept on driving towards the apartment that I bought, and my mother calls me from my father's phone, and she asks me, "Are you driving?" And I said yes. And she says, "Call me when you stop." Of course I heard something was wrong. So I asked her what it was, and she says, "No, call me when you park." And I said, "No, tell me what it is." And she said, "Dad is sick. He's going to the hospital." He's going to the hospital, and we hung up. So I drive for another 7 or 8 minutes to the parking lot outside our new apartment, and I call my mother and I tell her that I've stopped, I'm parked, and she asks me again, "Are you parked?" And I say yes. And she says, "Your dad has died." I'm glad I'm wearing sunglasses right now. Sorry about that. It gets very emotional to talk about this, but yeah. I asked her what's happening. I didn't believe her at first, and I can't really remember what she said, but we talked for a while, and yeah, I was destroyed. All the happiness, all the joy, everything I felt earlier that morning, it was gone. I panicked. I don't remember what I said, but somehow we hung up again because I was gonna sign the papers for this apartment to buy it from the previous owner. They were waiting for me at the apartment to sign the papers. I walked up to the apartment. I tried not to cry, and I told the realtor that my father just passed away, and I just got to know about it, and I started crying again, of course, and there was several people there as well. It was the realtor, it was someone from the bank, and it was the person who I was buying the apartment from. But yeah, I didn't care. My father just passed away, and they said that I could get an hour alone, and we would meet up at the bank, I think, or the realtor's office. And they went, and the first thing I do in our new apartment is I punch a hole in the wall. That hour passes so quickly, and I go to the realtor's office. I try to keep the tears from coming, and I managed to sign the papers and then it's time to go home. I can hardly see anything because I'm crying so much, and I'm breathing. My breathing is so erratic and panicky. And I'm gonna drive for 2.5 hours home. But yeah, I had some people asking if they should come pick me up, but that would be another 2.5 hours, so I wouldn't be home for at least 5 hours. I drove home through the woods for 2.5 hours. I cried so much I couldn't see the road. I drove too fast, and it was a miracle that nothing happened while I was driving. I don't remember much from that drive, but the thing I do remember is pulling into our home, or my parents' home, and my brothers and my mother are sitting outside on the porch waiting for me, and yeah, we just hug and cry together, and it was so unreal. The thing is, my father was a sports journalist and everybody knew him. He was always happy, he would always crack a joke, and he was always smiling. And yeah, he brought his camera everywhere. I remember at the funeral, if you can see the church behind me, it's one of the biggest churches, small town churches in Sweden. It was completely packed. It was full of people who wanted to say goodbye. I remember both me and my older brother had our cameras with us, because we think that was something our father would have wanted us to do. And we photographed his funeral. It's so hard to talk about this. It was such a hard day, that funeral. But my older brother actually made the whole church laugh or giggle during the funeral, because he did something that my father used to do, and everyone who knew him knew that he would do that. He went up and stood in front of my father's coffin with his camera, and he looked out and saw all these people crying, and he held up his camera to take a picture of them, and everyone saw that. And then he moved the camera and he did like this, telling them to smile, because that's something my father would have done. And people actually laughed a little bit, and yeah, it was beautiful. 10 years and I'm still crying. They say that time heals all wounds, and it does in a way, but you still have these scars that will always remind you of these times. Yeah, my father was a photographer, as I said, and he also was a filmmaker for national TV for a while. And both me and my two brothers, we all are interested in photography and filming and work in a media business in some way. And yeah, that's thanks to our father. That same year, my grandmother, my father's mother, also passed away 6 months later. And she was so strong, because she lost her husband, my grandfather, when he was 49. My father was 15 when his father died. She managed to pull through, and then she met another guy who became like a second grandfather to me, and he passed away in the 90s, and she pushed through. And then my father passed away at age 52, 2 days after his 52nd birthday. And yeah, she pulled through in a way. We could all see that it took such a toll on her, because she started forgetting things. She recently had survived 2 heart attacks. She broke her leg, but she pulled through. But when my father died, we noticed something, that her brain didn't want to push through. She forgot that we used to visit her, and yeah, it was hard because we visited her almost every day. But when we would visit her, she said that she was sad because no one would visit her, but we did. But she passed away the same year as my father did, and it was horrible. A year ago, my grandfather passed away on my mother's side. So it's been quite a lot of death these past 10 years. Too much death. It was hard to talk about, but I wanted to do a video on the day that marks 10 years since my father passed away, because he was such a huge inspiration for me, for all of us, for people around here, and he's missed. And 10 years feels like yesterday, because I don't know. It's just weird how life turns out. But yeah, this video is for my father. I'm sorry if this video wasn't fun and quirky as my other videos, but it was something I wanted to do, and sorry for crying so much. I think I'll stop now and just talk to my father a bit. So I'll see you in the next video, which hopefully is gonna be a bit more cheerful. Thank you so much for watching. See ya!